Hello and welcome to Cyber Focus, your source for international business information. My name is Sarah Ko and our guest today is Dr. Saiful Majid. Dr. Majid earned his PhD in Business Administration from University of Dortmund in Germany and has extensively served Dhaka University in Bangladesh for more than 2 decades. He's also this year's recipient of Indiana University Kelley School of Business's Wells Ghani Fellowship, created to celebrate school's pivotal role in establishing the Institute of Business Administration at Dhaka University back in 1966, and of course to remember the two institutions' ongoing partnership. As his expertise lies in the field of entrepreneurship, specifically focused in the context of Bangladesh, Dr. Majid will give us his insights on the various free enterprise challenges and opportunities that exist in his country. Dr. Majid, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to Indiana University Kelley School of Business.
Thanks for inviting me here today.
Of course.
And the topic is, of course, the challenges and the opportunities for free enterprise growth, right?
Mm-hmm. And so
in my country, Bangladesh.
Yes, in Bangladesh. Since you started the topic, let's go ahead and ask for your overview of how these opportunities and challenges lie in your country.
Basically, the challenges are varied nature, and for example, but some of the major challenges include, for example, challenges that those arising out of the economic systems. I'll explain later what I intend to mean by that. Then there are political challenges, weak governance, corruption in the state mechanism. And at the same time, society as a whole, social challenges are there, very traditional form of society, and that experience very less changes, rigid social structures. Family structures are usually also very rigid, that do not permit much freedom, flexibility for free enterprise initiative. Then there are also, for example, challenges with the implementation of the rule of law, challenges in the sector of physical infrastructures, challenges also in the social infrastructures, the type of education, the school, colleges that we have in the country are not very conducive to free enterprise growth. And these are more catered to creating employees, not employers. So at the same time, I think the opportunities, let's talk about the opportunities. So I think Bangladesh is an emerging economy and it has been experiencing an appreciable growth, almost 6% or plus growth over the last 6-7 years that you have mentioned also. And at the same time, since 1990, over more than 2 decades, our economic growth has been more than 5%. And over the last couple of years, I mentioned that we have been doing better, but we could have done much better. The other thing is that Bangladesh has already entered into a low mid-income countries.
And I think you mentioned a great point that Bangladesh has actually been on a steady rise with economic growth in the country. Like you mentioned, a little over 6% in a matter of several years. Having said that, what kind of different industry sectors should local and international entrepreneurs really look out for in the country besides the service and agriculture-driven parts?
I think there are very good opportunities that exist in some of the sectors. For example, our apparel sector has been doing very well. And you know that Bangladesh is currently the second largest apparel producer in the world. China is of course the largest, and Bangladesh is the second largest producer, though it is not a cotton producing country. But even then, and because of its cost competitiveness and other competitive advantages, it has taken this second position. And the other point is that, for example, Bangladesh has the potential, based on the basic principles of international trade. Bangladesh has the comparative advantage even to be the largest producer and exporter of apparel products in the world. So we are expecting that currently the export volume of apparel products is around $25 billion, but over the next 5 to 6 years, we are targeting to make it to $50 billion only from the export of apparel products. And I think you might have seen in the stores in the USA, there are a lot of Bangladesh-made apparels, right? Our textile industry is doing very well, and foreign investors, they're also concentrating. There's a number of joint ventures, and there are foreign investments flowing into the apparel industry, textile industry. Then the next growth sector is, of course, ICT, IT industry. This internet technology, internet communication technology, ICT. And I think we see a number of strategic partnerships, mainly with the US enterprises, also with the Indian enterprises. And Bangladesh has a great potential, for example, to earn from the outsourcing market. Currently the world outsourcing market is around $400 billion, right? And Bangladesh has the potential to earn or at least capture 10% of this potential outsourcing market in the ICT, IT sector on a global level. Because again, if we compare the cost competitiveness, for example, 10,000 keystrokes in Bangladesh 2 years before used to cost around $5, and the same 10,000 keystrokes used to cost in India $10, right? So I think there's a lot of substantial cost advantage, competitive advantage of Bangladesh. Then I think our other sectors, for example, we have been exporting. Pharmaceutical sector is a growth sector, and we have been also exporting drugs and medicines in a limited quantity, even to the USA, which is a very, I think, strong market to get into to enter into the pharmaceutical industry, market industry of USA.
Well, you talk about some very interesting industries and emerging economies even within Bangladesh. And when we talk about emerging, we can't forget about the young population who are very much equipped and have the potential to reach these markets. Having said that, you served in Dhaka University for more than 20 years now, and I'm sure you've seen brilliant students come and go. What do you think their overall perspectives or opinions are on the issue of social and innovative entrepreneurship?
I think our young generation, especially the students I've seen, over the last more than 25 years, I have prepared thousands and thousands of students. And they are basically different from our generation. They are more proactive and more initiative driven, and definitely they are more onto innovation. And our generation was much more into imitation. I mean, traditional society with we used to imitate others, the successful imitation. But I think the potential is that, let me tell you something. For example, Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch, all these very high-ranking institutions, they have ranked Bangladesh. Bangladesh has the potential to belong to one of the 10 fastest growing countries in the world till 2030. Also, Bangladesh has a better potential from 2030 to 2050, again to belong to one of the 10 fastest growing countries in the world. And all the assessments have been done on the basis of 17 economic and social fundamentals. Of course, the potential exists, and Bangladesh has been ranked in N11, means next 11 most potential countries in the world, right? Other than the BRICS countries, right? So you wanted to say something?
Yes, and that leads us to our final question. What do you think U.S. businesses and U.S. institutions could do to really harness this sustainable growth for Bangladesh, in your opinion?
I think U.S. has done a lot for us, especially for the growth of the business. And USAID was massively involved among all the donor agencies in promoting business enterprises and a number of projects over the last more than 2 decades, and some of them were pretty successful. I myself have served in such a project, and I think if we look into the future, I think US can really contribute more in building strategic partnerships, collaborative partnerships with in the business arena, business area, build more, focus more on capacity building. For example, this business school where I teach was built by Indiana University mentioned, right? And that happens to be one of the best in the country, or it is recognized the best. And this business school has created thousands of very good managers, hundreds of CEOs who have massively impacted, very significantly impacted the business landscape and the economy as a whole. Therefore, US and US institutions can focus more on capacity building, especially in the educational sector. Also can go build more linkages with our business bodies, chambers, trade associations, then also have more collaborative efforts with our government, right? So I think there's a lot that can be done.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Majid, thank you so much for coming in to speak with us.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for this edition of Cyber Focus. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, if you have any comments or suggestions for other future topics, of course, contact us at cyber, that's CIBER, @indiana.edu.